What's up, everyone? This is BigPowner, and today I'm going to be redoing a guide because I filmed it the first time with my mic off. What a pain in the arse. Alright, so I'm going to start off with just a quick map demo. I did a really juiced up map the first time, but yeah, I am redoing this, so I'm just, as soon as I learned that, I'm just doing it on the map that I'm on, which is not the 100 and something map that I had, but you guys will get the idea.
Still sane, exile?
Or actually,
I need
maybe
your
we'll
help.
get a juiced up map here. Okay, that looks juiced. Alright, let's do it.
Strange anomalous.
So, I'll run like some of this. Owie! I got stuck there. This is actually like a really dangerous map because of all these explodey dudes, but that's the advantage of having like a bunch of damage reduction and also having like a ton of dodge and evade chance.
I'm not up to that just yet.
Okay, so this build has done everything. I did my first series on it yesterday. I only died once. Granted, I felt really good about that because you're going to see the gear really isn't that great. We'll go ahead and go into the build now. I don't want to make too long of a video. The last one was like 30 minutes. So the build at the place that it's at right now is able to do all content. Obviously, I've done Sears, I've done all the Conquerors. I'm on Awakener 5. I'm working on 6. So I've done everything. I have actually yesterday I started playing some Heist. I've got a ton of stuff. I'm not going to jump out of the map because all the stuff that we're going to go over, I'm basically just going to show you the gear that I have. I'm going to give you guys some tips, some explanations to some stuff because there's like a lot of like small things that are good to know as you're advancing this build. But in the state that it's in right now, this is like the like minimum goal to get your build to so that you can do everything. So you can kill Cirrus. I would say that Cirrus is a little bit slow. I was actually a little bit less geared than I am right now when I did my first Cirrus. But you're going to see my gear is like, I would say trash at this point. So my initial suggestion was to get a 6-link, and this is what we're going to build our endgame weapon on. Because this is a really reliable way to get your first 6-link. Season after season, my first trying to link my first item, I never have that good. I hit it 10 or 20 times, and I hit it. Sometimes I wind up using like well over 1,000 fusings before I get my first 6-link from manually trying to get one. I've been trying to get one on my chest as my second 6-link, and I've had no luck. So that's kind of like the reason why anytime you have the ability to do something like this is a really good choice. My bow, this is a great example of where the build's at right now. I just have the +1 on it, nothing else on this besides the crafted on damage over time is doing anything for the build. I basically on this, it's resistances and a tier 1 life. Here, my amulet's like really bad. The global multiplier is not doing anything for me because I'm not using poison stacks on this build. We're focusing on the dot that scales specifically off of the toxic rain. So the only thing this is really doing for me is the implicit addition to the strength and intelligence, because we have to pick up strength and intelligence. And I've got crafted life and a little bit of resistances. This is basically a 2-stat with some resistances crafted on. The tier 1 damage over time multiplier is really good. Tier 1 HP is really good. Once again, another item. It's got a couple stats on it that are good. The attack speed, but it's a tier 3 attack speed. Tier 2 HP, and that's really the only thing that's on this item. It's basically a 2-stat item for me. Boots, once again, I've got movement speed and HP, and the resistances on this item are so low that they're like not even worth mentioning. Um, my belt is basically HP, tier 1 HP, the implicit of HP, a little bit of resistances. We've got one resistance that's actually on it, and then a crafted resistance, and the natural resistance that's on it is like equivalent to the crafted. Well, it is equivalent to the crafted. Same thing with rings. We've basically got HP and resistances. Tier 1 HP resistances, not even good rolls. Once again, this is probably like my best item. I mean, I have the life gained on hit from attacks, that's useful. The tier 2 strength, you got to pick up strength somewhere, so that's good for me. Tier 1 attack speed, that's good for me. Tier 1 max life for me, that's good. Unfortunately, it's on a diamond ring, which is a bad base, so I will have to wind up replacing this. I'm such early game, I don't even have the crafts that are, good to add to my rings yet. So basically my gear kind of sucks, and I'm still able to complete stuff. The only thing that I've really added to this build is basically I've added some clusters, but I am going to make a comment on my clusters. This cluster I added because it just dropped for me and I was able to get two good things on it, which is the Unholy Grace, Wicked Pal. Unfortunately, this is going to have to get replaced. I'm missing a prefix. The ideal prefix would be like these two skills plus the 10% chance for enemies to explode, dealing a quarter of their life. There are other large cluster jewels that would be really good. The reason why I'm specifically going to be going for this one on one of my cluster jewels, which I will be adding a second set of large cluster jewels, which you'll see that in the next video. This is kind of like an early game, cheap build that will be able to clear all content for you. But that number percent explode, that's my highest priority because I plan to take this and make this a 100% delirium build. So, which it's still really nice just in general for playing, but it's really powerful for doing the 100% deliriums. So this is going to have to get replaced, but my ideal jewel was like 5 or 6 exalts, was the cheapest one that was on the market. So I'm not going to invest that kind of currency when I could make my end game weapon for less than that, so that wouldn't make sense. You want to get the upgrades that are going to give you the largest increase to your build. These are actually ideal jewels. As far as the passives and then having the jewel slot, brush with death. The reason why I like having 2 brush with deaths is because 10% damage over time multiplier is really strong, but the other really big bonus to this is the recover 1% life on kill. If you notice, like my life would start dropping down and then it shoots back up because I'm killing stuff. That isn't actually because of my life recovery flask. I actually just was killing a guardian, and I needed the remove burn, so I had an alt flask just with just dodge phasing. So that instant recovery that you were seeing was not from my flask. This is my damage over time that makes me immune to bleeding. So that effect is a lot of utility, and 10% multiplier is really strong for a notable. The other one on it is just the Circle of Oblivion, 25% damage over time. Pretty good stat. That's not really I mean, it's a good choice, but it's not really like the reason why I'm going for the multiplier. For these multiplier jewels, it can either be damage over time multiplier or chaos damage over time multiplier. They both have the exact same effect. So let me touch on a couple things that you might run into as far as issues. Mana is going to be one of them. There's a few ways that we can fix mana. The way that I'm currently running it in the build right now is by going up here to this. I can actually come across here to this because this gives movement speed, damage over time, and yeah, damage over time, 10 base max life. But the reason why we come through here is because this would only give me 2 max life, and this gives me 8% mana and gives me flask effect, which is going to be good for the build because we're going to be using flasks. So that's the reason why I went this way. And then up here, simply because this takes 3 points. This is a really nice choice. There's another way that you could do this little spot if you're having trouble with mana. You know how that life on kill is really good. This gives us 2% mana on kill. It also gives us 0.4% of attack damage leeches mana, which honestly isn't that big of an effect. And the reason why is, like, if you've played other if you're a regular follower, you know you've definitely probably played Lionized Fall here with these Claude nodes, which give you the mana leech gets turned into bow mana leech, and that's like plenty. But the thing is this build has hardly no actual attack damage because we're scaling the deals chaos damage per second in this build, so the actual hit, the physical damage is hardly nothing. So that leech is like really not much of anything. Um, so yeah, that's something to pay attention to. A couple things that you're probably going to see in mine, you're going to be like, oh, why is he not doing that? Okay, so the first one is going to be coming up here to this area right here. Why is it that I'm not doing this? I like to look when I'm crafting my build as like, what is it that I'm getting? How many points is it taking me to get that? And the simple fact is this is 11 points, I believe. And we wind up getting 19% multiplier and I think 60% chaos damage and 20% max life. The thing is right here we wind up picking up 20% max life, but we also get the bonus of 40% evasion. If we were to use the same 4 slots, we would have 20% life and the equivalent percent of 60 50% evasion, which we're an evasion build. The energy shield does absolutely nothing for us. So that's not really that good for us. And this cluster set, as far as like adding percent damage multiplier, we get 20% chaos damage here, 10% multiplier. This is going to be better than that comparatively. This specifically is like the big thing people go for up here. You could choose this as your neck anointment. However, the neck anointment that I would suggest for people, especially early, a lot of people are coming all the way up here, which this is a lot of points. I think this is 11 points. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 11 just to get to here. And then, you know, this makes 14. And then when we pick this up, this would be 15. The thing is it only takes us 8 points to fill out one of these, plus another 8 here. That's 16, plus 3, that's 19 points. 19 points plus 1, so 20 points. So you're talking about only a few more points to fill out another whole cluster, which what is it that we wind up getting here? We get a lot more. And the thing is we could wind up choosing to use this as our neck anointment, and then we're going to wind up getting skill effect duration in some places like here. We also have closer skill effect duration that doesn't take as much to get there. We have skill effect duration. Oh no, it's right here. We got skill effect duration right here. There's a lot of other places that we can get skill effect duration. And skill effect duration, going that far for skill effect duration, I don't think is a good idea. However, is a really early cheap anointment because this one's kind of more expensive. Two golds, 1 silver. That's a little bit of an investment. Until you have a really good amulet, that's probably not worth it. However, this right here gives you the mass majority of the skill effect duration, and this is like a chaos to put. Like you can put this on a garbage amulet, and it doesn't really matter because it's a black oil basically. The other 2 oils are so common that you can't even consider them any cost. So like a couple chaos. I mean, I should have already thrown it on my necklace, but my skill effect duration is 1.34. I should go ahead and do that. There's really no reason not to. However, skill effect duration is not my big focus. I'd rather have stuff die before that time goes out. And then I want to have enough defenses so that I'm not dying constantly. This build, like in the next video, you'll see that the build will gain both a lot of damage, but it's also going to gain a lot of defensive. So that's the reason why I'm saying this is probably going to be my last neck anointment once I filled out all my cluster jewels, because obviously we have to give up more stuff. I do have 6 more points realistically that I'll be gaining. I normally finish my guides between, like my last guide is normally level 93 to 95 because that gives a reasonable goal for most players to focus as their end goal build. This is the set of this is what I'm going to recommend. I started off by going this way. The reason why is obviously that boost to aura is a really big deal. You are going to want to go and take this. It's 10% more chaos damage that you're mostly looking at. That's really all it gives you, but 10% more damage is really good. I took this as my second. You could wind up taking this because the flask generation is pretty big. Honestly, you could probably take this second. it would probably make things a lot smoother. Like looking back on how I played it, I was like, that probably would have made it smoother. So I'd probably recommend this a little bit earlier. Um, so maybe pick, if you don't really need the damage, maybe pick this last, or if you're not really worrying about the movement speed and the attack speed, you could pick that last. Personally, I would pick this third. The reason why is because more movement speed is going to make it so you're more efficient, and also 20% attack speed is going to actually add quite a bit of damage because it's more shots that you're getting off. So that would be my recommendation. So moving forward, getting this build a lot more damage. When we do multi-mod this bow, we are going to get a huge damage spike. I'm not going to go completely over this, but basically, toxic rain just scales like crazy as you increase the level. In case you're not someone that's been following my build guide and the explanation, like pre-league, I gave you guys all these directions, and now this is kind of just like me driving it home. But basically, if we had a level 20 skill gem, our goal is to get between level 27 to 31. The base damage is 285, and we can look, if even if we hit this right here, we're looking at about doubling our damage by reaching 27. Realistically, most players should be able to pretty easily hit 29. Min max is basically going to be 31, which is going to basically be 3.5 times what the level 21 skill gem will be doing. And obviously, all those multipliers are going to just magnify on top of that. So you're going to actually see that damage increase because it's your base damage that you're increasing when you're leveling up that skill gem. So that's the reason why we're going to be going for that. A little bit more direction. Obviously, you're like, all right, well, I can see that the build works well in this crappy gear. I'm going to have links to everything. As you can see, I don't have my second sixth link done. So obviously, all my links are done. I did write out a really good description to give you guys direction in case you get that sixth link before I come out with kind of like the finished build when all my gear is right and stuff like that. But I'll give you guys a little bit of direction. I did pre-league launch give you all of this direction, but I will go over it again real quick because I'm talking kind of fast and I feel like I'm getting good time, so I'll go ahead and go over that stuff. Obviously, we can get a Helm Enchantment. This is kind of like a later on idea. We can go for the extra quality through the new mechanic that makes it so you get 2 more projectiles for your quality. That is obviously going to be the biggest damage gain. As far as flasks, right now I'm using Witchfire, mana, Quicksilver, life flasks. Sometimes the dowsing, the surgeon's quartz, but basically only for specific things when I need fire removal. Mainly I'm running these, but Dying Sun will get added to this. The reason why is because extra projectiles with enough area of effect is going to increase your damage by that factor. So the base is 5. If I add 2 more projectiles, which Dying Sun's like perfect for this build because it adds extra projectiles and area of effect, the damage increase is basically, I now have 7 instead of 5, so it's 7 divided by 5 minus 1. We wind up with a 40% increase to our total damage. Which is a really amazing actual damage increase for a flask. Right now, I think they're probably still expensive. Honestly, I haven't been paying attention. I normally don't buy something like that early. I do run the Elder Shaper, so I kind of hope that they'll drop, and I'm not going to pay the markup. Yeah, right now, like 2 EX. It's only 4 EX for me to finish this bow and give myself a really big damage increase. Eventually, we're going to be going for all Awakened Jewels, Awakened Vicious Projectiles, Awakened Swift Affliction, Awakened Void Manipulation. Concentrated Effect doesn't have Awakened. Empower eventually we'll go for level 4, and the end goal is to have Toxic Rain, the new version of it that gives quality, causes you to get 2 extra projectiles, 1 extra projectile for every 10% quality. So that is like the ideal 6 link. I'm not going to go over all this stuff because I did write it all out. I'm just going to copy it from the video that I posted with no volume like an idiot. My Quiver, this is pretty good. The damage over time multiplier is really good. You really want to have attack speed on this. You want to look for the reason why I tried to craft on this. I wound up hitting tier 1 tier 1 max life and tier 1 damage over time multiplier. Regal got the projectile pierce and additional target. That doesn't help me at all, so that's not ideal, but those two stats are just so strong as like in conjunction with my gear that I went ahead and kept that, threw some resistances on it. I do really want attack speed, so once I fix my resistances in other places and I have the craft, I will craft on the 12% attack speed, or I will eventually multi-mod this, which would be attack speed and what would I have? One attack speed would be suffix, so I'd have a prefix open. I don't even know if there's something good I could craft on as prefix. I don't know what I'll do with it. I might just wind up trying to recraft something else, because this is probably actually going to be a better quiver for a different build, because like I said, piercing projectiles is good for some builds, like a bleed build. This would be a really nice base for, because obviously pierce is good for some of the bleed builds. It's not good for toxic rain because there's nothing to pierce. So I might just try again. um, and in the last video, I gave you suggestions for like cheap uniques that were on the market. I will do the craft video for the short bow. The important thing with making your +3 bow is basically this. This +1 to level of socketed gems is the important thing. You need multi-mod, chaos damage over time multiplier that goes up to 40%, and the +2 to socketed support gems. You can't have the plus to level of bow gems on it, or you will not be able to craft on your plus to level of socketed gems. So I just want to say that again. As far as stuff that you want on there before putting it on, you have to take note that you need one suffix open and you need two prefixes open, or you won't be able to do the craft, because the chaos damage over time multiplier and the socketed +2 to socketed gems support are both prefixes, and the crafted multiple modifiers is a suffix. Ideally, you would probably want to have attack speed also on this, like before you go ahead. That's probably going to be harder to get. I might actually just go ahead and make this +3, and then later down the road try and make another one, because as the league goes on and I have more currency, it won't be that big of a deal for me to alteration away until I have like an ideal base, or I might even go for a +4. But those would be ideal things to have on it. Just make sure that you have one open suffix, two open prefixes before you go ahead with the multi-mod. I'll cover that when I'll cover all the gear crafts that I do when I actually do like gear crafts. Necklaces, I covered this also. Hunter base is going to be the best one to try and get something out of. We can get +1. The best stuff is +1 to dexterity skill gems if you're picking either dexterity skill gem or chaos skill gem. Ideally, you could have +1 to dexterity skill gems, +1 to chaos skill gems, with +2 chaos damage over time multiplier. Those would be like the three ideal things. I mean, if you want to get really crazy on a multi-mod, unfortunately, this is not Harvest League, so these are kind of like hypothetical. I wish I could have these things, but like a dual mod, a dual influence, like with Elder and Hunter, with, you know, plus to chaos, plus to dexterity, plus to attack speed, plus to the critical strike multiplier. Something like that would be really crazy, really cool, but unfortunately, you know, the reality of trying to get something like that is close to zero, because we can't target the dexterity skill gems. And, you know, if we want four things, we're not going to be able to wind up just slamming those things together. We can wind up picking two of them from the pool of Elder and Hunter, and we can guarantee get two of those things together, and we can go ahead from there. And that's probably what we'll wind up doing. That's probably what a lot of my gear will wind up being based on. Ideal gloves. We're going to want a Hunter base. Gripped gloves is going to be the best. Item level 85 is what we're going to really want, because Intimidates does help for our damage over time multiplier, because intimidated enemies take 10% increased damage, and that does work for that does work for the damage over time. So that would be good. The main things though that we're going to want out of our gripped gloves is the chaos damage over time multiplier that the Hunter's influence lets us have, and we're also going to want to ideally have a high attack speed. The the way that from my tree you're going to be able to free up some extra points with some gear. When we do wind up crafting, we can go for those dual mod, the dual influence, elusive and tailwind boots. Then we would be able to clear up 4 points here, because we're going to be gaining another 6 or 7 points, 6 points. So that would give us 10, and we'd need to clear up another 10. So we'd have to drop 10 other points somewhere. I'm not exactly completely sure where I'm going to drop the 10 points. I'm going to have to really look into it. But I will wind up dropping 10 points somewhere, 10 other points somewhere. So we will see what happens with that. I might have to get rid of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I might just wind up losing all of that and turning into clusters. That will probably be what winds up happening. Yeah. So that'll probably be what it winds up looking like. All of the description as far as links, the ones that I have or the ideal ones, and the best other options that other people are doing, I will have in the description of this video. If I missed something, please let me know in the comment section. If you enjoyed this video, like, comment, and share. Hopefully this time my mic is not muted. Thanks for watching. Peace.